before we jump into just finances and all of that and kind of picking your brain on everything that you do, I kind of want to talk about your life, your history, where were you born and raised, what makes you you?
Yeah, man. So probably, number one thing makes me is family.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican. So before I even rep any suburb or anything like that, any city, any country, I'm Mexican. So
Like from Mexico?
no, I'm born here. Born
Okay.
here, but my parents are Mexican, and I was raised in a very traditional Mexican household.
Let's go. Another episode of Adversity Kings. We got special guest Richard. Is it Carroll?
Carroll.
Richard Carroll. Let's go. So, Rich, you are a financial advisor, investor.
Owner of Registered Investment Advisory. Yep.
Okay, awesome. I listened to that podcast you sent me. That was really good as well. That on the side podcast, whatever it was.
Yeah, Side Pocket.
Side Pocket. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. So before we jump into just finances and all of that and kind of picking your brain on everything that you do, I kind of want to talk about your life, your history, where were you born and raised, what makes you you?
Yeah, man. So probably, number one thing makes me is family.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican. So before I even rep any suburb or anything like that, any city, any country, I'm Mexican. So
Like from Mexico?
no, I'm born here. Born
Okay.
here, but my parents are Mexican, and I was raised in a very traditional Mexican household. It
Yeah.
was over here in I want to say it was late 80s or early 90s.
Okay.
But yeah, they came to Chicagoland area. They went to Pilsen, and then I was more so raised out here in northwest suburbs area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what was growing up for you like? Obviously traditional household, but give us a little more meat.
Growing up was a good time, man.
Yeah.
I had a big backyard. I shot BB guns at my friends. They shot me back right in the
Yeah.
head. Played a lot of sports. Went to private schools. I was typically maybe a little bit more of I don't want to say misbehaved, but
Yeah.
bad boy, I guess. So, and I had a really smart sister. She was always the super straight A student.
Yeah.
I was very much so not your straight A student, pops, but I'm, getting things done. I was an athlete. I was competitive.
What was your sport?
All of them, honestly. I played basketball. I played football. I played baseball. I think baseball ended up being my main one.
Yeah.
I played that one up until I got to DePaul. I played that for DePaul.
What do your parents do, or what did they do growing
My
up?
parents. So my mom was she went through nursing, and she worked at this place called Friendship Village in
Yeah.
Schaumburg. And my dad was the main breadwinner.
Yeah.
My mom stopped working, and my dad more so focused on construction, real estate,
Yeah.
remodeling. He named his business RC Building after me the year I was born, 1992.
Let's go.
And he started residential construction, remodeling. Then he kind of elevated to do commercial, and started in the restaurant space, built a lot of restaurants in the northwest suburbs area, predominantly in the Mexican ones. Also
Are you bilingual?
Indians. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
bilingual. Yeah, I speak fluent Spanish.
Any other languages?
No, just I understand a good amount of Italian, even some French. I'll pick up on a couple words just because
Yeah.
of the Latin origin,
just
but just
some-
Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Okay, so who were you closest to growing up, mom or dad?
Ooh, that's tough. Man, can I say Ty?
Yeah. And who are you closest to now?
Same thing, honestly.
Same?
Yeah, same thing. I think in different ways. Mom was just always there,
Yeah.
Dad was just very important,
Yeah.
He wasn't necessarily at all the games and stuff like that. But it was always very important to make my dad proud. I could see the hard work, and even with my mom, she was very strict as well.
Yeah.
But both were always really close, and I was close with both of them.
What do you think is the most important thing you got from your parents growing up?
I think that my father's work ethic is insane.
Yeah.
Huge takeaway for sure.
Yeah.
When I think about why I'm working late at night, it has more to do still with trying to make him proud.
Yes.
So I think just work ethic. I think he set the bar very high in terms of being a great husband, a great father.
Yeah.
He wasn't he doesn't drink, he's not a partier. He's just, he's just very chill. And so when I think about the example of a man, I think about him. And so, the goal I think is to be a better man. It's gonna be very hard. It's
set the bar
it seems
high.
unfathomable, but I think the goal that always kind of drives you or drives me to make like the right decisions is to try and be like Pops.
And what about from your mother?
Mom, I mean, mom just holds it down, you know, like she, you know, my dad has a bunch, like we have a bunch of real estate properties and stuff. And so like when it comes down to like who handles all the paperwork and stuff like that, like my dad's not necessarily super organized. And even I see that in myself sometimes. Like I get business done, but like as far as like organization, like,
Yeah, you're a closer, not a clerical work kind of guy.
Right. Like I don't know.
the
Like,
same way.
I'm usually like super low battery. Why?
Yeah.
Because I'm not organized to keep my phone
Yeah,
plugged in.
yeah, I
and I'm
just
like,
plug mine in.
yeah, mom's super organized. So like, you know, when it came to like just having like the food ready or just like making sure that like, dude, it's just little things that your nails were cut, that you know your hair was looking good, that you were
cleaned up,
presentable, cleaned up, and stuff like that. You know, just the little things in life.
Yeah,
she really tried to kind of like help.
It's a great balance.
Yeah.
What's the hardest thing you went through growing up?
Hardest thing I went
that really
through
kind of
growing
shaped
up?
and changed your life. The trajectory of your life was changed because of that event.
Trajectory of my whole life changed because of one event.
And it could be a season, not like a microscopical event, not like just this day I got, you know, punched in the mouth, like something like whatever, you know what I mean? Like a mental battle, a physical battle.
Yeah, I think one of the best things I ever went through was the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was doing business with a lot of friends. We were all doing wealth management, and at that time I was using a firm to try and help me get everything done. Like, we were all doing business under one brand, and you know, a lot of my friends had quit their jobs and started to join me.
Kind of like a brokerage, like utilizing different products to invest.
Sure.
Similar.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so we were booming, and like people were giving us a lot of money because we were putting together really great strategies for people.
Yeah.
And what happened is that all of a sudden I was kind of looking to my left, looking to my right, and I found myself working alongside people I didn't necessarily want to be working alongside anymore.
Why is that? Character?
I think it has to do with ethics mostly. I see myself doing asset management and things like in fiduciary capacities where we're only doing things in people's best interest for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit uneasy seeing that like other people that didn't have the experience that I had, and I could have been okay without that, but they didn't care about the people as much. Like it was kind of like, all right, I want to make money.
Yeah.
And making money is great, but like I think that for me it's always just kind of been like, I'll slow myself down. I'll make less money if it means that I can help out if I can help these people out a little bit more, because I think that the return on that is, you know, tenfold. You know, the word of mouth and like you know how things can affect that. So yeah. So I think when it came to the pandemic, I got to kind of take a look and say, all right, well, the way that we used to go about obtaining business is a very like traditional, like meet in front of people, and we're in the asset management space, so we tend to deal with a little bit older set of people. And the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden, you know, the 60-year-olds that we were previously meeting with were not as open to meeting with us, you know, and even us, like, you know, we felt like there was a time that unless we get a vaccine, like maybe we can't, you know, have a meeting with our clients. You know, fast forward, no vaccine ever occurred or anything like that for us. But like,
I was gonna say, I imagine that group of individuals probably didn't associate with the agenda of like the vaccine.
No. Yeah, I mean,
for the most part, I would assume that.
I mean, some people, yes. And then, you know, I mean, it was a tricky time, right? Even people that didn't align with, you know, the values of being told what to do, they still ended up getting it because of employment or family or whatever the case may be. But the point is, we couldn't meet with our 6-year-olds anymore. Yes. And so we kind of had to pivot. And we had to pivot from a business that was killing it. Like, we didn't want to pivot, but we had to. And so we went from, you know, being very in person to a very digital presence with 60-year-olds, which can be frustrating. You know, walking through people like through like digital like applications and signatures and like, you know, just printing something. It was hell. And so that was tough. But I also got to walk away and say, well, hold on. Like, if I'm only going to take in word of mouth or referral introduction type of business, then I don't think I want to split that in the ways that I've been splitting it with this team. And I got to kind of take a look back and say, all right, who are the people I really want to enjoy this ride with? And you know, I tapped on my best friend's shoulder and I said, let's leave here. You know, let's just keep it to us where we know we're good and we know that we can elevate things and become a little bit more licensed, a little bit more registered, a little bit more regulated. You know, the group that we were with, I wasn't comfortable to ever kind of take it to that next degree. But once the pandemic hit and kind of gave us, you know, a great opportunity to say, hey, like, this is going to be a nice little 1 to 2, 3 year stretch of, take this chance and formulate your complete own independent firm. So I went ahead and did that. And I would say that was pretty pivotal.
So what goes into so before we even jump that far into creating your own firm and putting yourself in the position that you're in now, what was graduating high school like and transitioning into college?
That was a fun time. So I started working for Pops really young. He had me in the just on the construction sites, like as a little kid.
Yeah.
And so by the time I got to high school, when I was 16, I bought a car right away. Bought a nice Beamer. I had saved up my money.
Yeah.
And then, I wanted a nicer Beamer. And so I found out the way to do that was kind of just, I was flipping iPhones, even before I had a car, actually. I was flipping iPhones. And then, once I had a car, I was flipping iPhones as well, just like for $100, $200 arbitrage opportunity.
Yeah.
So I graduated myself to cars. And then once I started to, buy a car, fix it up, maybe just a little fender bender with my cousin and stuff like that, I was able to, buy and sell cars. And so I was pulling up to high school, like new car very frequently, selling it. I ended up buying, an M3, and that was like my dream car at the time. I ended up going way too fast in it. But I had a really enjoyable end of high school because I was making money. I was building. I was a businessman, always a businessman. I knew I wanted to study business. And so deciding what college was going to be like for me wasn't hard. I knew I wanted to do business. And then at that, I think people go into business, oh, should I do business management? Should I do audit? Should I do tax? I knew I wanted to do probably the most challenging part of business. So I went into finance.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the transition of high school to college. Also, I knew I wanted to kind of stay downtown in Chicago. My sister had gone to DePaul, and she went on to do really incredible things as well. And I saw the opportunity for being connected with a lot of just prominent companies in the downtown area.
Yeah.
And I knew that they really like to pick at DePaul talent, for work and stuff like that. And so I knew I wanted to be very full-time student and full-time working very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go to DePaul. What do you study?
Finance.
Finance.
Yep.
And then what all did you acquire? Did you 4-year degree?
Yep.
And then what licenses did you get in the midst of school?
Amidst school, no licenses. Amidst school, it was just
the finance degree.
Just finance degree and internships.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your favorite internship?
Favorite internship? Oh, that one's easy. I would say CME Group, hedge fund division, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, Chicago Board of Trade. I was talking to the top hedge funds every single day and seeing exactly what they were trading in, what futures and options, how many contracts they bought, what time. What it is they were buying, what else they were buying. And so I got to see a lot of insider information.
What's the dude's name? I thought he moved to Miami, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Yeah, Ken Griffith.
Do you ever get plugged into any of those?
So
I don't know if you can talk about that.
Yeah, Citadel is our biggest client. They're top hedge fund in the world. And so hedge funds have to use these advanced instruments, futures and options to hedge themselves. And the CME Group is the largest exchange in the world for these contracts.
Yeah.
And it's right in Chicago. Before you could trade, companies on the New York Stock Exchange, people were trading wheat and stuff like that in the Midwest here. So I did make a connection with Ken, actually. I was friends with the people that worked at the hair salon that he would get his haircut at.
Okay.
And I had them trained to notify me when he was going to come in and get a haircut. And I would get my haircuts next to him. And that was cool. I was probably 21 years old.
Wow.
And I was just asking him questions before I started any of my businesses, anything like that. Just asking him questions about just certain things, and it was a interesting experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched a movie recently in regard to the GameStop crash or everything. And I saw certain level of involvement, and that kind of sparked my curiosity with him because I saw the CMA Group and Ken Griffith and a lot of money and fluctuation there. So did that affect, were you tied into that at all? Did you have any investments or any of your clients?
So not my clients at all. Personal investments, yes. Actually so my mother's birthday is on January 3rd. It was a Sunday. And the first Monday of the trading year, I always like to put in just some positions.
Yeah.
And so this was after kind of COVID really beat up a lot of stocks. And so I was kind of calling the upcoming year the revenge year, meaning everything that you didn't do while the pandemic and while it was going to start opening up, I saw the opportunity for these things to start ramping up.
Yeah.
So I loaded up on AMC. It was at $2 a share. right at $2 a share for no other reason other than I was like, well, AMC, they'll probably stick around. People will go back to the movies.
Yeah.
Load it up on AMC. And so I already had a pretty sizable position before it started to turn into like a GameStop meme stock type of scenario. So that just rallied. And then once it was rallying, I did get into some options where I had some like 1,000% return. I mean, I'm talking about I went like furthest out of the money price, soonest expiration that you could possibly go. And then I woke up the next day and it was just in the money. So, yeah, I mean, I had fun, made a quick flip, you know, here and there during that time, but nothing crazy. My clients weren't exposed to it much.
Now, as you graduated college, what'd you get into?
So I graduated college. So I left the hedge fund division role because I couldn't trade, and I, wanted to start executing some of the trades that I was learning about, the butterfly patterns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so at that time, also I had friends that started to be like, see me as like the investment guy, where they wanted to give me their money and their parents' money and stuff like that. And I knew that there was kind of like a right way to go about it. And so I wanted to leave CME Group so that I could start kind of independently, figuring out how this all worked, right? And then went ahead and started to do some valuation work. So for merger and acquisitions. So when one business buys another business, they typically have to hire an independent party that's a valuation expert to tell them how much they should pay for that business. Not just because maybe they didn't know, but because they need to show their shareholders that, hey, we got an independent, party that, knows how to value businesses, the tangible components of them, the intangible components, and has agreed that this is how much money we should pay for them. So that's what I was doing for, multi-hundred million to multi-billion-dollar deals. And during that time, I was basically stuck behind an Excel, a lot of Excel spreadsheets. I'm a very personable person. I like to deal with people, and so it wasn't invigorating enough for me. But I started to do the research of what I needed to do to start opening, my own wealth management company. And then shortly after, at the age of 24, I launched my first wealth management company.
Would you say, so your role would be more of the organizing, analyzing, and then putting together the different investments, and then you delegate throughout the positions that you hire in?
So I'm
or are you hands-on with deals?
I'm the CEO of the company, and so what that really means is I kind of direct. So I've got a couple different positions. One, I direct the CIO, who's the Chief Investment Officer. That's my best friend, co-founder, Gianni. He is more so in charge of what the investments get allocated into.
Okay.
He does that a little bit in hand with our CTO as well. Our CTO, his name is James, a super sharp guy. He's also been an investment advisor representative for 6+ years, founded his own wealth management companies. So I let them handle most of the deciding which, for example, if we go into a 15% gold position, or if we go into a 10% healthcare position, in particular ETF, or if we design a direct index, where we make our own version of the S&P 500 by trimming the fat based on micro and macro, indicators. I leave more of that stuff kind of in their hands at this point. What I'm more so involved with, definitely begins at the ideation of all of this, right? I wanted to start an RIA. I had the relevant experience that we felt that would get us approval from regulators, because you can't just decide to wake up and say, I'm going to start an RIA. You have to be approved by regulators. And so I had dedicated my life up until the point where, even before I had started my own wealth management company, to always be in advanced finance positions. And so, I would say my responsibilities right now are to oversee the entire operation, ranging from making sure that the CIO and the CTO are doing what they need to do in their respective responsibilities of making the investment decisions, or making sure that our technology is developing. But even beyond that, I'm spearheading a lot of for example, right now there's a lot of venture capital efforts. I'm networking. And
is that how we got connected?
I believe so.
VC event.
Yep. Yeah, we were at a VC event, and Landon introduced us.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. He mentioned that you were in the insurance space, and he gave you that 7-figure title, and I was like, oh, for sure.
Yeah. 7-figure gross.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So, man, so dope. So you get into the wealth management, you're building this all up, CEO, and what I want to transition into next is, do you have is there an exit strategy, or is it just build it up and hold on to it because there's really no exit needed because you're just managing managing and growing wealth for individuals. What's your like 10-year vision?
Yeah. So, R.I.P. Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett.
Yeah. Did he pass away today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
I never want to sell, honestly. Like, if I could be,
Yeah.
Gianni and I were literally like best friends. Like, freshman year, roommate, randomly assigned, turned into like brothers. Mm-hmm. If I could never sell the business and turn this into something massive,
Yeah.
And have a Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger type of, relationship. And
Yeah.
I'm also like, I'm Mexican, so like I respect what they've done, but I'm like looking to be like, I want to do that like the Latino way,
Yeah.
And Gianni's not Latino, but he's Albanian, and
Yeah.
he's first generation. We're immigrants, like our parents didn't teach us anything about this, and so we want to kind of do that in our own way. I like the idea of never selling and just accumulating billions and billions of assets under management.
I like that.
At the same time, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and so I start businesses and like I guess little side things. But right now we're working on developing a technology that even if we never sell the whole thing, we're going to sell bits of it. For funding. We're going to take on investments and stuff like that. So I think that's where I'll start to dabble in like selling a part of the business. But I don't want to like build something just to sell it to someone else.
I think I have more respect for that as well, because I like, even though there's not an exit potential, like in a sense when it comes to working with being a captive, franchise owner, whatever you want to call it, for a life insurance company, I still don't really see myself ever transitioning out, taking the equity I've built up in the company, and like, when people are like, well, don't you want to get into, putting more, distributing more, capital into more VC projects and real estate and things like that. I'm like, between media and insurance, I don't really see myself needing to do much else, especially from all the biographies and successful individuals I've studied. It's like, you just put a couple decades of focus into, one area, you can generate a significant amount of wealth.
Right.
Especially when you're talking about money. You know what I mean? We deal with money. So
right. I mean, I think in both of our cases, private equity will be calling. They'll try to acquire us. The opportunities to sell will be there.
Yes.
I personally want to be the one buying. I think that there's a lot of, in both of our industries. You think about how an average insurance business is run. You think about an average asset management business is run. The reality of the situation is there's a lot of inefficiencies and there's a lot of legacy style, systems and bad habits and
absolutely,
ways to go in there and acquire these businesses, and with all the expertise that we're going to have at still such a young age, be able to acquire these businesses for a long time and make them more efficient and reap the alpha.
Absolutely.
I think we'll be doing the buying,
yes,
the selling.
Yeah, and that's the position I always want to be in. I want to transition into some questions I formally prepared that I knew I wouldn't be able to remember off the top of my head, because I'm in the low scale of finance, not your genius.
No worries.
Over here. So, basically, with the economy shaping up to 2023, I don't know. For some individuals, I think depending on whatever position you're in, you're always going to find a way to win. But for the most part, what have been kind of your strategies that you've put together to help individuals navigate through 2023 with, the inflation rates being obviously excessive, mortgage rates were high this year, 8%. I think they're still sitting around. Mm-hmm. So what have been your strategies and thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I mean, so for my clients,
even your own personal investments and thoughts.
Yeah, so for my clients, I would say, a lot of my clients are 60 years old, so they're not in the stage where they're really like buying a house,
Yeah.
They're not really worried about.
What about commercial real estate? Is there a similar interest rate? Because I actually didn't research that.
It can be a little higher, actually. Depends. Also, I mean, it really all depends on like your terms, how much cash you're putting up front, your credit worthiness. There's a lot of factors, right?
Yeah.
But for my clients, I don't really have to deal much with like the interest rate costs, like impact to them as much as like I would if I was dealing with young people making the decision of like, should I buy a house right now? I mean, what I would say to that is historically, it's a very bad time to buy a house.
Yeah.
But like more so where we were looking at, like we had a lot of clients with, bunch of cash and checkings and savings doing absolutely nothing. And so, one of the things that we were looking out for is, okay, well, what is your 1 week need, right? And so if you're telling me that in your most expensive week you might need $5,000 and you have $60,000 in the checkings and savings, then why don't we just go ahead and leave like 10, 20 in your checkings and savings, put the other 40 in a very liquid money market style fund that can yield you a little bit closer to like 5% since interest rates are so high.
Yeah.
And if you need the money, it can be back in your account very quickly.
Were you having any of these older individuals with just a bunch of money sitting around do any type of like unique style investments, maybe from their perspective, like crypto or any of that? No. Okay.
Not $1.
And
we manage many millions and not $1 in crypto. And that's not to say that I'm not for crypto or against it.
Well, there was just you had FTX that occurred, what was that, 6 months ago?
And then Binance.
And then, just recently. So, and I hear that one was even larger.
You know what's funny is that like the Binance guy like kind of triggered the collapse of FTX. And he probably did that, for his own self-gain. And then now.
Any artificial intelligence investments?
For us, 100%. We're building out like our own index for AI style investments.
Did you hear
Microsoft is a pretty like common? I mean, again, not a recommendation for anything like that. But Microsoft's is a great position. Nvidia's a great position for stuff like that.
Was it ChatGPT CEO that was temporarily removed?
Yeah, Sam was removed in like same week he was brought back.
Yeah. What do you have any? I didn't. I think I heard in a podcast, and I didn't know if you had any more information or research done on that.
There was. I mean, I don't know that I have any more information that isn't public. I think that the board basically just kind of like got to a point where they felt that he couldn't lead the company, and they very quickly found out that the whole 500 plus employees felt very differently, and so I think that it's a lesson learned. I think that's very important who you put on your board.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder who he disagreed with. I wonder what was exposed.
Right. Yeah. That stuff we probably might not know about until later. But I think it's a lesson, for any founder out there that's looking to maybe one day get into that, venture capital.
So,
I mean, actually, it wasn't even any venture capital firms on their board. It was actually. So people are like started talking bad about like venture capital. It's like actually it had nothing to do necessarily with venture capital. It's more about like
internal selections.
Yeah, internal. Well, they made investments. Just because they made investments doesn't mean that they're a VC. There's all types of investment firms that can exist.
Individual, angel, whatever.
But then back to your question on the personal side, more so for me, like some personal investments recently. I mean, I like to deal in stuff that doesn't require for me to go into debt. I've noticed that I've been exposing myself a little bit more to like alternative investment opportunities. Like, I invested in a restaurant called Umo recently, and they have an amazing team.
I gotta get out there.
Yeah, man, come by.
You got it looks borderline Michelin star. You know what I mean? The way you guys put it together, it looks high class. It looks amazing. Man.
Yeah, our partner in it is Chef Carlos Gaitan, who's the first Mexican Michelin chef.
Can I get him on the podcast?
Ever. Maybe, yeah. I'll bring him up. I'll bring it up to him.
I'd love to.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I love is food, and we can't talk about it too much. I'm about to hit 72 hours of a water fast.
Wow.
Yeah, so if I seem kind of down right now or off, that's why. I don't know.
Couldn't tell.
Dana White did it. Shout out the 72-hour water fast, but that is not why I did it. It was not the media that inspired me. It was my mom telling me she's been able to do 5 days, and I'm sitting there like, there's no way I'm letting my mom. You know what I mean? Like,
I recently told my dad to do it.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's been complaining about some stomach issues, and I was just like, hey,
it's supposed to be really beneficial for you.
Yeah.
It's been torture for me, and I feel like I already operate like at a low like body fat percentage. So like, I don't know. I'm down like 14 pounds, and like if I get lower than 180, I'm probably gonna have to like pull the plug, or I'm gonna like call my doctor and make sure everything's cool.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna be 109 hours when I'm done.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go to Friday morning. So I stopped eating Sunday at 5.
Make sure you ease yourself back into it. I heard that's what you have to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna risk it. If
I
just
think
start
you need like
throwing
bone
up,
broth or stuff. Like you gotta eat like specific things as you ease back into like normal.
I'm just like staring at food all day. Like I'm like Googling food. I have my buddy coming here, and I had him eat food in front of me. It was real. It's so weird. You know what I mean? And I would go on a small tangent, but like makes me appreciate life a lot more, because we get so caught up in as humans, and it is successful humans as well, and like wanting to generate more money and wanting to be around different individuals and increase our circle and our quality of life. And dude, just take food out of your life for a day or two, and you'll be like, there are people that don't have a choice. Like I'm just doing this as a choice. You know what I mean? But like I think of, you know, things happening in the Middle East right now. I go to Mexico at least 2 or 3 times a year. And when you're driving to your resort or your hotel,
Right.
you know what I mean? You'll see individuals that are just living in the slums. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like they might have to just go a couple days without eating. And it's not like, oh, let me do a media challenge. It's like,
Right.
we don't have food. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's,
Right.
you know, so it makes me redefine American poverty over and over and over again. Because I grew up on food stamps and food bank lines. And it's like, I've shared my story multiple times that I was hungry growing up. And it's like, now I realize I was just a fat kid that just like, you know what I mean? Maybe went 10 hours without, you know, like some ramen or something. And like that may have been the worst that it was at points. Dude, just 3 days of not eating makes me just appreciate, man. Like I'm in like a romantic mood of like humanity. Like I'm like romanticizing like how good, you know, how good we really have it in America. And it's really increased my faith as well. I think you're a man of faith as well. I don't know.
Very much. That's probably like the number one reason why I would, because like I admire you for your, you know, just religion and like,
Yeah,
just,
man.
You always are like you share the word every day, right?
I share it every day, and I always feel conflicted about it because I never want to share it as, I don't know how much you've dived into the word, but like I never want to share it and come off as like what the New Testament would define as like a Pharisee, because I'm not that guy that's a super religious guy. Like if you ever see me do church, I do it right here. I put it on YouTube. I'll watch Stephen Furtick. I swear I mess up. I have regret in my heart daily of things that I've just done that just suck. You know what I mean? It makes me a human, and that's what makes me just fall more and more in love with Jesus just when I read and study and kind of enter that zone of worship of like, I'm a sinner, I suck, you're graceful, your grace is amazing, you're infinite, and, you know, I need you. So like, and I get conflicted when I post because I feel like, you know, some people might just, they might not be getting the full context. They might, like, I don't want to ever come off as like, oh, I'm better than you, I'm posting scripture. Like, it's not the case. It's because I suck and I have a OCD complex of like I have this organized issue of like I got to do this every single day routinely, but simultaneously it's this relationship with myself that it's more so for me than it is to like I don't care what anybody else thinks, but I have like this like not like an imposter syndrome, but like this thing that attacks at me like I just never want to come off as making someone feel less, and I actually have an issue with the church. You know what I mean? Because like I've been in churches where I feel like I've been looked down upon, and I don't think that's Christianity. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know, that's the exact opposite from what I've read is Jesus was around the sinners. He was around murderers and killers and the prostitutes. And it's like, you know, that I don't say maybe I, you know, specifically seek out those individuals, but, you know, I was a delinquent, bro, like expelled. Both my parents were incarcerated. So it's like I come from a background that like not supposed to be in the position that I'm in. Yeah. And I love those people. You know, I don't know if you're a big like, you know, holiday guy, but like there's this I like classic stuff, classic music, classic, and I mean like rock, not like Beethoven. So
I'm like Frank Sinatra, I like that.
I like Frank Sinatra too. For Beethoven, you see the cigar box over there. So I when I do cigars, I like Frank Sinatra and different things like that. But there's this holiday movie with it's classic. It's I think it's like Rudolph or something like that. But he like goes to like Misfit Island, and I always call myself like that's what like this company is. That's like the whole vibe here is like. I never say no to the individual that corporate America would say no to because I'm him. You know what I mean? I'm the individual you wouldn't hire. You know, when I got hired, I had cornrows down to my shoulder, and I was doing, you know, bad things. I was expelled, and you know when I passed that life insurance exam, and I was like, this is legit. You know what I mean? Like I have a legitimate opportunity to make honest money. I was 19 when I got the license. I think I got into the industry at 18 and got the license at 19, and I was like, man, you know, I can't wait to really hopefully change my life. And I never look back, and I always think to myself, I never want to say no to the person that all those people said no to me. That's a big motivator to me. So that kind of ties into, you know, my beliefs, my faith and all that. So long story short.
Yeah, no, I mean, one, I would say don't stop posting because I know what you mean. Actually, I'd rather be in your shoes than mine.
Yeah.
Because I stopped posting, and so I feel weird to restart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas like, if you just don't stop, then it's just like, because I get it. And the reason why I don't post is because like I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm trying to tell anyone that I'm better than them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're not reading the Bible? Like you're not seeing like, you know, you suck. It's like, no, like in reality, like you said, like, I mean,
it's with everything too.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like I post working out every single day as well, but like I fight with my mind. I'm like, I hate the idea of like making someone feel less than.
You know, I'm really bad at posting workout stuff too,
Yeah.
because like, you know, I'll take a picture and then like I'll feel bad because like I look good. I'm like, I don't want to post this. Like, you know, but it's like the difference is though, it's like when I have posted, like there is always like 1, 2 or more people that are like,
keep it up,
getting in the fucking gym right now.
Yes.
Or like when
that
you
makes
post the
it worth
verses, when you post the verses, like I pause it and I read it.
Yes.
I read it. Like I didn't open up my app, even though like it's on like my main one right here. Like it's on the main 3.
Yeah.
I didn't open it up, but like I was on Instagram. And I saw your story because it comes up and I paused it and I read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so if you're thinking about posting, just post it.
Just post. Absolutely, just post. Next question. Which advancements in technology influencing various industries, what sectors do you see as particularly promising for investment in the current market climate?
Again, not a recommendation to buy anything specific, but I mean, AI is no joke, man. Like, you know, you've had buzzes that came around. Like, you know, during the pandemic, you had, you know, Peloton, boom, and then now you see it down 98%. You saw before that there was 3D printing, you know, that had its spike, and then, you know, people didn't buy 3D printers as much as they thought. Or, you know, there's a bunch of examples like that, right? AI is not a fad. Like, it's here to come, it's here to change, and it's here to automate businesses and make them more efficient, make them more profitable. So that part is very exciting. I think that the use for AI, and I mean, anything, man, just like, you know, I look at it, I'm working on a technology called Advanced Advisor. Join the wait list if you can. And, you know, that's going to help more so with automation in like the asset management space.
Yeah.
There's plenty of opportunities. Like I said, you know, insurance, oh, man, like there's ripe for disruption and how many workflows could be automated.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, there's healthcare. Like think about when you go to your doctor's office and they hand you that like pen and paper and you're sitting there. I mean, like
writing a book.
That's like the majority of the world still.
Yeah.
So there's a huge opportunity in being able to deal with that stuff. And in the biggest and the smallest of ways. I mean, even just from like a customer service thing. I mean, we all hate the automated, like, you know, phone calls that we have to go through and stuff like that. But all that stuff is going to get better. You know, I think ChatGPT is pretty cool, like in regards to just like generative stuff. Like if you need like a first draft for an email, you know, tell it to write it for you, I guess, you know, or stuff like that. Where you previously were maybe getting bogged down for like an hour writing up that email. Now it's done in like 10 minutes or no, 10 seconds.
Yeah, 10 seconds.
And you can edit it and, you know, send it in your own way.
Yeah.
But not to be cliche, but I think right now, like it's a hot topic for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. I read a book earlier this year called Superintelligence, and it's about the potential projection of AI. And it was more of a pessimistic view, but it was recommended, I believe, by Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. And I didn't understand a good percentage of it, but the small percentage that I did do, it was alarming because I think as much as AI is a inevitable, beneficial thing to our culture and society, I feel like it didn't even really publicly present itself until earlier this year, right? Or did it come around last year?
Yeah, I think like it got
to the extent that we're talking about ChatGPT.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so this book put into perspective, like, what if AI obviously developed a certain level of intelligence where it was completely independent, didn't need us, and then pretended like it was not as intelligent as it was and started to advise. Have you ever seen the movie I, Robot?
Yeah.
And basically just kind of went like an I, Robot style of like, and I think they recently just dropped another AI movie, The Creator. I didn't go to see it. I'm a big movie fad, but wait for it to come out on Prime or something. Yeah. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think like maybe the computers come to life and they're just plain stupid right now?
I wouldn't blame them.
I wouldn't either.
Because I mean, like humans
suck.
We're bad.
Yeah,
like,
there's definitely a lot of suckishness to us.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, you know, there's a lot of cool stuff too. You know, people forget that, like, you know, Leonardo da Vinci and like, you know, people like did incredible things. I mean, like we still do incredible things now, but for the most part, we're really probably not doing a great job at like keeping this earth the way that it should be.
No, I agree.
And so if that ends up happening, I won't even blame them. And you know, you got to read into certain things. Like, I don't know, why is Bezos and Musk like investing so much money into rockets? I mean, there should be a plan B. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of living on the moon or Mars or stuff like that. But you know, if it takes keeping Earth together, and like we just visited it as a park. I've done some breedings on.
Or if you could get an extra 100 years of existence, you know what I mean? Like they say, hey, listen, move to the moon. We've developed a new serum or something. You'll live, instead of life expectancy 86, we'll get you till 200.
Depends. I mean, what age do I get to stay at? Do I get to stay at the 100 for 100 more years? I'd be good on that.
No,
like if I could stay like 20, 30 for another like
20, 30 until like 200. Nice. Like you just pass away from like internal natural causes, but externally you operate as like a 30-year-old forever.
I mean, if there's the medical advances to make that possible, that'd be tight.
I feel like there is. I feel like the government doesn't reveal as much as, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think I want to live that long, honestly.
At the same time, yeah, because it's like if the people you care about the most don't like I don't know what would be worse. You know what I mean? Like
I think it's not natural. I think it's like I'm starting to get to the point in my life where I'm just like, yeah, like is there 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds partying? Yeah, I see them all the time.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, no.
Right? So I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, all right, I got to like chill out, right? I've gotten to the point in my life, despite that I could continue to be a 20, 30-year-old, such as like some of my other peers and
I thought you were close to my age.
What's that?
I thought you were close to my age.
I'm 31.
Yeah, I was doing the math and I was like, I thought you were like 24 or 25.
Nope, 31.
Damn.
Which literally I was talking like, feels like I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know, feels like the same thing.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm with my co-founder still, and we met when we were 18. So we're
like Gary Vee hits the nail on the head when he says the 40s are the new 30s. You know what I mean? So it's like
yeah, I can see that. But you got to be careful because it's like
you don't want to waste. I don't. Yeah, that's not like like advertisement for you to just play around. Like definitely grind right now.
Yeah, and like I feel like people are putting off things more in their life. Like, I mean, my parents were married when they were in their early 20s.
I was going to ask that question next. What do you have intentions on getting married?
I have intentions.
Yeah,
I have intentions.
I don't think you find a girl in Chicago.
Well, we'll see. Right?
I like you mentioned a lot. Your household was traditional. I love the idea of a traditional household. Yeah. You know what I mean. So
I think that there's great women in Chicago. I think there's great women any place in the world. I think that there's also a lot of bad, on both sides, and then damaged and whatever. There's
absolutely.
There's something out there for everyone. And,
yeah.
But the point is like you get to a point in your life, for example, right now, like I'm done with I feel like I'm done with just like the super fun stage, and like I'm ready. It's just like if I knew that I could just be 20, 30 forever, then maybe I wouldn't feel like that. Right? Yeah. I'd prolong it until I was 50, and then I'd prolong it until I'm 50, and it's like, well, now I'm not playing catch with my son.
Yeah.
Or taking my daughter to whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think that medical advances and stuff, they scare me to a certain degree because I just like life is good the way that like we have it. Like
it's precious.
At 80 to 100 year life expectancy is more than enough. I mean, like if I dropped tomorrow, I'd say I lived enough for like 3 lives. I'm happy.
Yeah.
So it's just like I think you can get everything you need to in a short amount of time as long as you work hard and you're smart.
Do you pay attention to the Fed rate?
Yeah, 100%.
And how does that affect your decision making?
Affects everything about our decision making. The problem is that, it affects a lot, mostly in the fixed income category, I would say, but it does obviously influence equity markets as well.
Yeah.
You think about the equity space, and these companies have billions of dollars on their balance sheet, and so a small tick of an interest rate up or down a couple basis points is actually a significant cost difference.
Yeah.
When you have such a big balance sheet, so much debt and at different interest rates. And so they can impact equities, but fixed income wise, that's where a lot of like the pricing on bonds and stuff like that comes from is the Fed rate. So, we also take a very unique approach in that, a lot of our competitors are charging still a very high management fee for the bond portion of their clients' portfolios. And they're not really necessarily earning it because it's like, well, what do you know that the Fed doesn't? Like you have to make your decisions based off what the Fed does, and you don't know what the Fed is going to do because the Fed doesn't even know what they're going to do. So like you're kind of getting paid to just make decisions after the Fed announces, what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Like you can try and look into whatever it is that you think they're going to do, but the Fed does some pretty surprising things.
Do you think the state of Illinois politically manages its money properly?
No, the state of Illinois actually is one of the worst of the 50 states to manage their money.
When you look at these politicians that get into maybe just a six-figure position and then they exit after a decade or so with like a 7 or 8 figure amass amount of wealth, and they had like zero, maybe investment or side opportunities, that they invested into prior to. What are your thoughts? What I'm speculating is insider trading. So like, what are your thoughts on all of that?
Well, there's a difference between insider trading and making relationships.
No, yeah, I know that could be a blended, like, all right, well, they got connected with this person put them on with an opportunity, da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
But I think of, like, even on a grander scale, I think of somebody like a Nancy Pelosi going from, like, getting into, like, a $100,000 job now being worth, like, $180 million. So it's like, yeah, it definitely has relationships, but, like, I don't know, how good are your relationships, and, like, why wouldn't they escalate to, like, do you feel like you work less or more? But I guess that's more of a surface level question because we don't know her on an individual basis. So making that judgment, I guess, would be shallow.
I'll answer this question from the one perspective I know. So I mentioned earlier, my sister has gone on to do some pretty cool stuff after her time at DePaul. So she became the youngest Latina or Latino, male or female, youngest Latina elected official in Illinois history.
Wow.
And she still is to this date after being elected for 15 plus years. And there's different types of politicians. So I'm answering this question only off the perspective that I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
My sister is a politician, I think, where it doesn't come around too often, where her sole goal is to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And because of that, she works like 12 to 16 hours a day on relationships and just advocating for the groups that need work to be done.
Yeah.
She has no interest in making money. She has no interest at all. Like, that does not motivate her whatsoever.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, we finally got a politician in the family, and like, you can't even be like making moves like legally. Like, she's just like, it's just not in her passion at all whatsoever. She wants to just help people out. Right?
Yeah.
At the same side, I've seen, politicians that have gone on and accomplished pretty big things. I mean, there's Rahm, right? Rahm Emanuel, he was a politician, and he is very involved in the business world. Thing is, I don't know. In my experience, as much as I want to say politicians don't make great business people, I mean, Rahm's terrible deal for the parking in Chicago, right? He sold it to some, private organization. Terrible deal. What are some? I mean, there's countless stories. I mean, you got the Madigans that if he's not sitting in jail right now, he's on his way to go be sitting in jail. I hope I don't get eliminated for talking bad about these. I'm not talking bad.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's not worth it. I think if you're gonna be in the political space, just be in it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
That would be my answer on like in regards to like politicians and like.
While we're on this topic, socialism or capitalism?
Capitalism all day.
Okay. And my next question, then I guess would be to capitalize on that. Would your sister get on the podcast and talk about politics?
I'm sure she would.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So next thing I had down on here as I was doing a little bit of research on the average American debt per household. What do you think it is?
Does that count mortgage?
Yeah.
Counts the mortgage, counts credit card debt?
Count mortgage, student loans, and credit card, including auto loans. And then there's...
Got to be right around $500,000.
It's actually we're pretty close. This data has us at 158,000.
Oh.
But I would need to verify the source as well because I just took a screenshot of a picture.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking. Well,
now the mortgage loan average is 202,000. This just is taking into consideration. This is average
everyone,
American.
People that
You know what I
don't
mean?
even have mortgages.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, which
I think like mortgage probably average like $200, $300
minimum, especially with the mortgages going on right now. Because I keep looking at properties in Chicago and I'm torn between like get a property or pay $5,000 in rent, and I'm like, I get torn between like putting $60,000 into zero equity when I sell an equity-based product. I push people towards whole life. And then I sit here and tell myself, like, well, how could I push people to an equity-based product when I'm, potentially going to make an investment that avoids equity building? But then I'm analyzing the rates and I'm looking at it, and it's like this just makes absolute zero sense. Just for the potential in the next 24 to 36 months for rates and fluctuation of the housing market to go down. Now, do I think it'll go down tremendously and like I should just wait for the housing market to go back to what it was in 1980s? Absolutely not. I feel like you'd have to be mentally just not coherent for you to make a decision like that. But it has me thinking because debt is on the absolute rise for I think the world economy in general. But when I'm analyzing this, and it's like I think I keep seeing stats from Patrick Bet-David on credit card debt is I want to say it's almost close to a third or fourth of people's general wealth or some specific stat that he has, and I apologize, I have to go get that information. But why do you think that is with debt being 158,000? What are your thoughts on just the general debt crisis that's going on?
Well, I think that people need help with it. I think that I come across opportunities to help people with it all the time. I'll give you an example. So I come across people that have like a 401k and they're 60 years old and they have a $500,000 balance and they're allocated 100% into like government bonds. So, the historical growth rate on that, it's like 2 to 3% growth.
Yeah.
They're at the point in their lives where maybe they don't want to take risk anymore, right? And then this is all my clients. It's actually like not even the majority of it, but like it happens all the time. And I come across, and in the discovery, I find out that they have like $20,000, $30,000 in debt. In the checkings and savings, they have like, I don't know, 5 to 10, right? So they're kind of like letting this debt just accumulate without realizing that. What I like to say is there's a difference between good debt and bad debt.
Yes,
good debt,
absolutely,
right, is things like your mortgage, where as long as your investments can outpace, the cost of that interest rate, which over time, interest rates on the mortgage would be like closer to like 3, 4, maybe 5. Then that's good debt. You should be in no rush to pay it off. You don't want to take out that $500,000 in your investment account, pay a bunch of taxes on all that just to pay off, a 3 or 4% mortgage, that you still owe like $200,000 on, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. A bad debt, you got things like your credit card, 20% interest rate. Well, you 100% should take out, the $30,000 out of your $500,000 account that's only growing at 2-3% so that you can pay off this interest rate on your credit card debt that's, charging, 20-25%.
Yes.
Right? So I try to help people out anytime I see the opportunity there. I think that obviously it'd be better if they were never to find themselves in that position to begin with.
Yeah.
I think that it's a lot easier said than done, especially nowadays, with such, with inflation running rampant the way it did and the cost of goods getting more expensive and it not necessarily, going at the same pace as the rising, amount of your wages, then you've found yourself in a situation where you had to dip into some credit card debt.
Yeah.
So I get it. I just hope that people don't let it kind of run wild, unmonitored.
I think that's out of the question.
Yeah.
Student loans, the average is $58,000. The average individual will graduate college and potentially acquire a job that generates $40,000 to $50,000 a year. So the contribution to their student loans, if they're paying, I don't know what the average. I think they pay like $500 a month. You know what I mean, roughly. I would imagine. And then you got the Is it subsidized or unsubsidized?
There's both.
There's both. So which is the one that accrues interest after you graduate? Is it? I think it's unsubsidized. That
I don't want to misquote, but yeah, the difference is like you have to start making the payments like as soon as you, what is it? I think it's like as soon as you get
to 6 months. You don't have to start making any payments and it doesn't start accruing interest until 6 months after you're done with school, like whether you drop out, graduate, anything. And the other is building interest the entire time. So like you got a freshman year of college, you go to college for 4 years. It's been accumulating interest over that 4 years.
So here's what I'm getting at here is if you're making $50,000 a year, you got a bachelor's degree, and $50,000 a year equates to, what would that be, $4,000 a month? Roughly $3,500 a month? Yeah, $3,500, $4,000 a month. 4 times 12, 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, roughly. So if 500, so let's take $500. So what do you got there?
Well, that's gross. You gotta like take out your taxes.
You got to take out your tax. So let's say they're netting 4,000. So your net. Let's say you're net 4,000 a month post tax, and you've got 10% of your income going to student loans. Then you've got, what do you think is the lowest rent someone can get, even if they got a roommate? 1,000?
Like,
especially if you live in
1,500.
Chicago. If you live in Chicago, you're not paying less
honestly,
than 1,000.
it's the same as, dude, there's burbs like I'm surprised because I mean we rent houses and it's like the same cost. Like you can get what I charge for a one bed in the burbs is like the same thing you can get a one bed in the city.
What's that, 1,500 to 2,000?
Yeah, like 1,500 to 2,000.
Yeah. So let's say you got a roommate and you're paying 1,000. So there's $1,500. Are you going to eat every week? Even if, let's say you don't eat out at all month, and you just eat normal groceries, cheap groceries, and what would you say that is to feed one person? $400 a week, $300 a week.
Man, I eat out a lot.
I know. I was gonna say I couldn't tell you from how much I eat, but I'm thinking from growing up. I feel like the food stamps were about for a family of 3, and that was when 25. That was probably 15 years ago. I feel like we got off food stamps when I was like 14, 15. So 15 to 10 years ago.
I'm thinking like maybe little less than 400 a week.
I feel like an individual 200 to 300. Let's round down and say 200. So now you've got another 800 on top of the 1,500. You know what I mean? We can round that up, put us at 2,500, not including any other expenses. If you have a car, the average car payment I read the other day was like 600 to 700. So let's say you have a car payment, which everything's financed right now.
Go down to 500 on that.
500. So let's say 3,000. You're left with $1,000. There's a pitch we have in life insurance, and it's not a like push you into buying. It's a legitimate pitch, and it's like very simply when someone rebuttals I can't afford it, it's just like, hey, listen, things have popped up before. They're gonna pop up again. You've always found a way to make ends meet. Things always pop up. Whatever. Like, have you ever lived a month where something didn't pop up, where you needed to take out an extra grand or something?
Right.
It's inevitable. So what I want to know from your perspective, and I'm biased because I didn't go to college and build a decent life for myself. College or no college, with the data that we have, and you have to exclude the obvious. Like, I wouldn't let a doctor operate on me with no college degree. You know what I mean? A YouTube doctor can't operate on my body. Right. You know what I mean? So with the given, what are your thoughts on college?
I think college now very much so depends on your financial plan.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different walks of life, and there's someone that's maybe doesn't come from any money, but they were super intelligent and they were able to get scholarships.
Yes.
Go to college.
Yeah.
There's someone that doesn't know what they want to do yet. Maybe figure that out before you start paying $4,000 per class.
Yeah.
Right. There's someone that's already in over their heads on credit card debt. Probably not the best idea to, take out student loans, right? In general, and then there's you don't have to go to college anymore to, pay off. I'm sorry, you don't have to go to college anymore to make a good living.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Did you need your resume to get to?
I did.
Yeah.
Well, did I need my resume to start my own company?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
However, I did need the resume and the experiences that I had to get approved by regulators to become a more advanced, a more regulated, a more registered, and a more licensed firm, right?
Yes.
That I did. And so, yeah, it depends on your aspirations. I think that there's a huge shortage in things like what's going to be plumbers and, the crafts, right?
Yep.
And they're going to make a bunch of money and you don't got to go to college.
Yep.
I think that you also have a lot of people going to college and, no offense to marketing majors at all. Marketing is the driving factor of any business.
Yes.
But you get a lot of marketing, people that like end up and they're like, well, what do I do now? And they don't have, positions that are invigorating, beyond like, the social media management stuff. And, did college was paying $60,000, $70,000 a year, now you're $250,000 in debt. Was that worth it? For now this like $50,000, $60,000, a year paying job, it's going to be tough. It's a very much so case by case basis on like college versus non-college. I think that if you don't go to college nowadays, it's less frowned upon than what it would have been if, back in like when I was like 18. Also, I come from an immigrant family that like they never received education. And I remember when I did get my first full-time offer after I graduated college, my dad laughed at me, He was like, oh, that's what my like undocumented workers get paid cash, after taxes.
Yeah.
And they got no education. So,
Yeah.
it's interesting. There's a lot, but then, okay, well, now fast forward, it's like, well, your immigrant workers that were getting paid much more than I were, couldn't have obtained the skills and the network that I did to be able to put me in a position in where I am now in life.
Yes.
Right. So very different for everyone. I also felt like I owed it to my family because my family had accomplished a good bit in life with no college. And so
Yes.
it's like, let's see how far we can take this, with the right education and stuff like that. So, if one day, I think I saw like what college could give someone. I think that, if I end up killing it and I have a business set up and my son doesn't want to go to college and he wants to, become an advisor at the age of 18 years old, like, let's do it. Like you don't need to go to college. At the same time, I like to, think that, at least what I've seen, for example, I have a godson and he's going to college. He's going to Purdue.
Yeah.
Julian is, it's the best aerospace engineering school in the nation.
Yeah.
And so we had this expectation of him, like, go to college. We didn't exactly know what he was going to do. We didn't know he was going to go to the better than fucking Harvard.
Yeah.
But there he is. And so like for my kids, I hope that, if you do go to college, go somewhere really dope.
Well, some of the best companies in the world were built on college campuses. You know what I mean? Some of the biggest, I should say. Shout out, Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, Meta, and the conglomerate that they've built. So I think I agree. As much as I advocate that you should be open-minded and not rush into it, at the same time, I feel like anybody that builds wealth almost kind of suggests or opens up the opportunity for their son and daughter to go to college. Like, my son wanted to go to college, then go ahead, I'll pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, because I see it as a networking opportunity. I've paid tens of thousands of dollars to get into certain rooms, and I just look at that as like a semester. You know what I mean? Like, that's my perspective on college. Unless, say your son or daughter wanted to go be a medical surgeon. It's like, all right, yeah, we can't do this on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say this about the college piece is like my co-founder, my college roommate, my lawyer, my college roommate, my CPA, my college roommate, my other people that I like just would consider in other business deals. Also went to college with them. So like, high school buddies, like, we check in and stuff like that. But I think once you go to college, it's a really unique experience because it's the first time in your life where you're really surrounded by like-minded people that really want to elevate. And like it goes to the extent of like even like your majors and stuff like that. Like you're all in like classes together, and so that part of it's pretty cool.
I want to see how much money universities made, and I wonder how much colleges made, just in general in 2022. Because I'm curious if the professors the professors are making 50 to 100 grand a year. Where does all this money go? So,
the room and board, they got to kill it, man. They got 4 kids sharing one bedroom.
Let's see, universe. How much money did colleges, U.S. colleges make in 2022? $60 billion, which is a 12.5% increase from the year prior. And let's just say, oh man, I wonder if, I don't know. Let's take into consideration and say, what would you say, 200 colleges, roughly? And I know that's a very low number, but let's just, if there's 2 to 3, or let's say 4 major colleges out of every state, 50 states, 4 major colleges, put it at 200 colleges. What would you say average professor, how many professors per college? 50?
Oof, that's tough. Yeah, we'd have to get pretty granular with it. Because there's some schools that are so much different than others.
Yeah. Like,
also, just like, think about like, I mean, I assume gifts and stuff like that are a part of that, like 60 billion.
Yeah, 60 billion.
You know that there's some Harvard guy that donated like, 500 million, and like there's some community college that like hasn't ever gotten like 10K.
So if you take this number here and you had just 10,000 professors in the United States of America, and they made what the median income is, which is $50,000. That's $500 million. That is not even a fraction of a percent, I believe, of 60 billion. I think it'd be 0.5%, if at best, or a little close to 1%. We're like, I want to invest in. Can you open me a college fund where I can get people's like if you guys are gonna pay all this money, here's where I get torn. Somebody posted this the other day. I think my buddy in my business named Joey, and he's like, imagine someone sending you a letter and say, congratulations, we accepted you to pay $200,000 to us for you to come get a piece of paper, which is not a downplay. You know what I mean? Especially somebody like yourself, you went and did that. But for the individuals that go and do that and then do nothing with it,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And they spend the rest of their lives in debt. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's where I get torn on like, man, do I want to help everybody out, or do I want to figure out how can I like set up because if there's a fund that is beating the market, holy hell, it's the college. You know what I mean? Like, let's start setting up college funds. Like, how can I start buying shares of Harvard? Because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, that's my thought on it.
You know, what I would say is colleges won't ever do this, but there should be a whole different admission process.
Yeah.
Like, you should only accept a student if you can, with a high degree of confidence, say that this student is going to get the best case scenario out of this university.
Do colleges help you transition? Like, I know high schools, they have the guidance counselor. Do college have guidance counselors that'll help you find jobs?
They don't care, man.
Yeah.
They don't care.
No.
They don't care about the jobs. I mean, you might get like, one or two counselors that are just, heaven sent angels that really help you, but it's on you. And the thing is that, and what helped me is having an older sister. She made me get an internship freshman year of college. So this is a lesson from ARA. Get your internships early so that by the time that you're a junior and your friends are starting to be like, oh, I should probably get an internship, like, you will have 2 already under your belt, and you're going into those interviews a lot more prepared with a lot more to talk about than your peers. And I think that's always why I found myself getting like better jobs than a lot of my friends. Yeah. Because I started off so early that, like, the second one, I had no business getting that type of internship until I was like a junior, senior. Yeah. And I was a sophomore. And then by the time I was a junior, I was getting, even bigger offers. And so, it helps to be involved in that type of stuff early on. That would be like my biggest thing. Yeah. Because if you want to come out of that employed, and the thing, I remember being in classrooms and just looking around, not to like sound judgmental, but I'd be like, man, some of these people, they're not going to make it.
Yeah, they're not going to make it.
They're not going to make it.
But that's business. I think life insurance is the 8% industry. Mm-hmm. And that's an indicator of the retention of employment after 12 months. Only 8%, which I feel like wealth management would be even getting into a Series 7 life insurance license is like getting a McDonald's job, which I hate to downplay what's made me so much money, but it is the easiest way to make so much money because you go in there, anybody can get a life insurance license. It's like 200 questions.
When I got it, I was shocked at like the other people in the classroom. I was like, what am I doing?
Bro, so I couldn't imagine. I know I would be able to do it, but like, I wouldn't want to study for months, which I know that would probably what it would require to get a Series 7, 63, 65, 60, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so like kudos to those individuals because I bet that's a 1% industry. Like to be successful on Wall Street or to successfully trade. And it's unfortunate because I got buddies that do Forex, so I'm not making fun of you, but in general, you know what I mean? I feel like trading has has kind of like a darkness to it, kind of like life insurance does, because Forex went rampant over this last couple of years.
FX,
and everybody thinks everything's a scam, especially Chicago. Everybody thinks everything's a scam. So I know it's been difficult for recruiting for us out here because it's like my immediate line is I do life insurance. It's hard. You need a license to work here, and that saved me a lot of headaches from dealing with individuals that are just they don't want to put the work in. So but that makes me think about just the general route that the world's kind of going down right now. Little over an hour in, I want to start to wrap up. I don't know what your plans are. Outside of Umo, what's your favorite restaurant?
Bavette's.
I gotta put that down. I wonder what style of food is that. I'm so hungry.
Man, it is So Bavette's will give you one of the best steaks in the city.
For real?
Some of the best Brussels sprouts in the city.
Stop.
Some of the best fried chicken in the city.
Stop.
Some of the best oysters.
No, stop. Bro.
No, it's well, good luck getting a reservation.
My neck's expanding.
Yeah, the reservation's probably like 2 weeks out.
I'm saying your name, dog.
No,
I'm coming in with Rich, bro.
I live down the street. I go there a lot.
Yeah.
They don't care about my name.
Me and Rich and Ken Griffith are on the way.
They don't care about Ken's name, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, Ken. I wonder if Ken has ever been to Bavette's. If he doesn't, then what's the point of being a billionaire? Because Jesus.
Right? Have to eat Bavette's, man. Now, do you just get like I ate so much A5 when I started making money that I don't care. I get like just a typical, cut of steak, filet mignon, whatever. Is that the cut of steak you get at Bavette's, or are you looking for like A5?
No. Just go with get a fillet if you want just a fillet.
Yeah.
I mean, bone-in ribeyes.
I was going to say that. I couldn't think of the word. I like a bone-in ribeye too.
Honestly, my favorite thing from them is their spicy fried chicken.
Bro, I love fried chicken.
It's $25. It comes with mashed potatoes. There's always
Is it
leftovers.
like a good fried chicken?
It's the best.
You like Popeyes or KFC if you had to do fast food? If you had to do fast food, they were the only restaurants left. Neither of us do fast food. I know you don't. You texted me I know you don't do fast food. Or Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Okay, is it similar? Like, could you relate? Because I love Chick-fil-A.
Oh no, dude. This is like
fire. It's fire. Oh man,
grade
Oh my god!
And then they put it on mashed potatoes. They put like peas on it and stuff.
I'll take the
peas
peas
off. Sauce. You just pour it. Oh,
that sounds so good.
And then they got beef tartare. Their beef tartare is good.
Fire. I'd eat this carpet right now. Honestly, I swear to God. I don't know. Are you a movie guy?
Dude, you know what's funny? So I'm more of a movie guy than I'm a TV guy. I've never seen any TV show.
Okay. Doesn't sound like you're a movie guy though. Do you have a favorite movie? And if not, what do you do to occupy some of your mental space? Podcasts, hobbies, friends. What do you like to do when there's nothing to do?
There's always something to do.
Yes.
There's always something to do, man.
Something to occupy your mind, some type of hobby.
I really, honestly, email my co-founder, ask anybody. I'm really bad at TV shows, movies. I'm very bad at. I don't do podcasts much. I just read on my phone.
Yeah?
Nonstop.
Articles or books?
Articles.
Yeah.
Just articles, nonstop articles. I'm on like LinkedIn. I'm on Market Watch. I'm on Wall Street Journal.
Okay. You're just kind of like, your hobby's just like studying your market. For me,
I study the market. Well, I study a lot. It's like more than the markets. It's like, there's every week you can look up to see who's reporting earnings, and there's always things that you can read on those earnings reports. And there's, every other week there's something going on with the Fed.
Yes.
And then you've got your appointments, and I just got back from a business trip in California, and it's like when you plan out like 15 families' whole life, you think about that at like 8, 9 p.m. Like you really do. It sounds cliche, but like I really don't watch. I don't kill time. Yeah, I definitely don't kill time. I like to golf. I like to go to East
Are you
Bank.
good at golfing?
To say you're good at golfing is a tall claim from anybody. But I like to golf. I think I have a decent little drive. I'm good for 300 yards here and there.
I saw Tiger playing with his son.
That's awesome,
golfing with his son. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're like twins.
Definitely like twins. I can't think of anything else. I asked all the questions I wanted to ask. Is there anything else you want to get off the top of your head?
Questions for you?
Go ahead. You can rip a couple.
What's next? So how do we go? What's the plan from going from 7 figures gross to 8?
Yeah. So eight figures gross is when I think I'll actually pocket like 7 figures liquid on an annual basis, and a general basis too. And all it is numbers. You know what I mean? So I always break down. I feel like any company, if I were hired as a consultant for any company, I would analyze product and service, and I would analyze the marketing on an individual. Is it B2C like we are? We deal with an individual basis, and I would figure out how do we take X amount of presentations and multiply that by 10. Mm-hmm. So the way I do that, since it's a regulated product, is I multiply our agent count. You know what I mean? So by 10. And right now we've got about 200 agents, and we will we will do roughly $10 million in sales next year, which will cash flow $10 million for the business. And my rip off of that will be 3 or 4, you know what I mean? Which should give me probably, I'd say I'm paying myself about, it's a partnership, and I'm paying myself about 5% of the gross revenue. So when people see, like, I'll post like $2 million of gross, and they think I'm like, they just hit me up and I'll just give them $1 million. I'm paying myself 200 grand, big dog. You know what I mean? So it's like, and those other funds are, you know, utilized for leads. This office is, you know, my Wi-Fi is $4,000 a month. I installed fiber optic Wi-Fi since the Wi-Fi was crashing, and obviously Wi-Fi generates the sales. Right. $4,000 a month is the Wi-Fi here. So I'm a big believer on like 99 to 1. I want to take 99% of the funds and live off 1% if it's possible, because I'm a big believer in that long-term strategy. I've read a lot of Bezos, just a lot of just different autobiographies, books, and different things. I think he did a Bezos's letters, and he had this 20-year strategy of like, I will take a loss just to beat my competition. So growing up so broke, like, I don't really like care. I like nice things. I eat out 3-4 times a week, but I love winning, and I will do whatever it takes morally and to destroy competition. Not even like type of like a Jordan mode. Like, I'll make stuff up in my mind just to go out and just like beat the competition. And for me, the competition isn't the life insurance industry. I'm a man, so I analyze. I just like to look at Forbes. You know what I mean? Who's the top dogs on here, and how do I get there better, faster, quicker, and stronger? And Chicago's a $1 billion life insurance opportunity, because